Good morning. I'm Bahar from RESCU TV, and we're here with the world's foremost fragrance authority, Mr. Michael Edwards, in his home, no less. We've been invited into his home, a very sacred spot, to speak to the master of fragrance about what is arguably the biggest gift to the fragrance industry, the invention of the Michael Edwards Fragrances of the World books, your fragrance wheel, and also the tireless work you do in classifying every single fragrance that launches in the market. So how did it all start? How did you fall into becoming...
Well, I'd always been in the fragrance field. I started in marketing. Oh, this was way back in the 60s. I loved fragrance, I thought it was amazing, but knew nothing about it. And it wasn't until the mid-70s that I went on a workshop in Paris with Perfume, the great perfumers. And they had a guide, a very technical guide, called the Bouquet de la Parfumerie. And for the first time, I understood the difference between the fragrance families.
Right.
And it classified all the fragrances into the different families. Very technical. It was designed for evaluators and perfumers.
Right.
But for the first time, I had a nose map. And really my interest started at that point. And then decided to set up my own practice in the early 80s. And I had the luck to win a contract for a group of retailers. Perfume was a big part of their business, and there was no guide. So, with the help of a perfumer, I started putting together a little guide.
So this was the forefather...
Oh, that was 27 years ago. It was a tiny little tatty guide. It was maybe about 360 fragrances in it there. I remember it was 1984. I'd gone to bed. Clearly I was niggling this in my mind. I remember waking up about 1 o'clock and the idea was there. And literally I haven't changed from it. We talk about perfumes being fresher or richer. So I thought, well, why don't I create a guide where we take the typical fragrances in each family. So if I give you flowers like Paris, it's rose scent. If I give you a soft floral like Chanel No. 5, that's a classic one. Le Bleu, Oscar de Lorento would be classic floral orientals. So in each family I'd have a group of the classics, and then using that as my benchmark, I'd classify those fragrances that smell richer compared to those fragrances that smell fresher. So that was the basic idea. Well, I put it together and it worked. But in many ways I think there's an analogy between wine and fragrance, and I've used that. For example, in wine we talk about red wines and white wines and sparkling wines and fortified wines.
Sure.
And if you like white wines, people would offer you a Chardonnay, or do you prefer a Sauvignon Blanc or a Riesling? We have the same logic when you boil it down in fragrance. We have florals and orientals and woody and fresh fragrances. And if you like orientals, then instead of the Chardonnays and the Sauvignon Blancs, I can offer you a true oriental like Shalimar Obsession, or a softer oriental such as Opium or Cocoa.
I like the idea of that you can offer someone variety within something that they already like. Is that something that we can kind of take with us when we go fragrance shopping?
My feeling would be explore the family that you like.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know why some people like florals, other people like orientals.
Mm-hmm.
For all the magic of the scientists, we still have not figured out
What
why
seems
people
to the
do
heart.
that. But when you ask people for the names of their favorite perfumes and you get 3 or 4 names out of it, almost invariably you're going to find that at least 2 of those 3 or 4 names fall in the same family. For me, I would look at exploring the beauty of the families you especially like. By all means, from time to time, move one family up in the wheel or one family down. And it could well be that you will discover a totally different family that for some reason you like. Maybe as you get older, your tastes may change, for example, there. But I would recommend that you explore your families first of all.
And if you want to pick up the Bible, as it's known in the industry, we'll also put up the website link for that. But thank you so much for having us into your home. Thank you so much for taking us through a little bit about your background and history.